Jesus, all the way. I'll forever trust in you. Jesus, all the way.
JC 24/7.
Someone has said that because of the onset of information technology, that the brain is suffering from chronic unemployment. How true is that? I'm not sure, but we have a upsurge of social networking, social media networking, and we want to look at how it can be a blessing, how has it been a blessing, and perhaps the downside of it, as we look at the subject matter, social or antisocial. And we have invited a very eloquent cast of young people, hopefully, who can assist us in sorting this whole discussion out. And I want to start with you, Josh. Clearly, social networking, social media networking is here to stay. Before we analyze what are some of the benefits, how has it been a blessing in times past? And what are some of the things we can learn from social media networking?
Social media has brought together a captive audience in a way that has never happened before. I mean, with the event of this new wave of technology, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, all these tools, which are, and I call them tools because they are just that, what the tools have done, it has allowed you to send messages, to collaborate, to communicate, and to send these messages to audiences in a matter of seconds. And to me, that is a blessing, because it's a way to send great messages, to advertise events, products. This show we are here at, you know, these different things. You know, it's a blessing. You know.
Yes, I did contact most of you via social.
Exactly.
Media.
Exactly.
All right. Gone are the days of letter writing. You know, when you write your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Alyssa, you wouldn't know about that. That was long before
Grateful
your
for
time.
my youth.
You have to wait 3 weeks to get a response.
To get a response,
Yes.
and then take a little time to respond. So there are some, there are some blessings to be derived from that. I learned some time ago that a restaurant owner had to enforce a law for all his patrons to put aside their cell phones when they enter the restaurant, because they were oftentimes on their cell phone. And I suspect that one of the reasons he has done that is because we have lost our interpersonal skills. Would you say that social media networking, Alicia, has caused us to lose our interpersonal relational skills?
I think definitely it really desensitizes us to the importance of, that one-on-one connection. I think because it's so easy for us to just, pick up our phones and send a message, and we have, icons we can send to express whether we are happy or whether we are sad. It requires less muscles. There's no facial muscles when you send a smiley face, so there's less energy, exertion of energy involved, and it's convenient. And sometimes we get sucked into that and we forget how important it is to just smile or, talk to somebody. I mean, that is so therapeutic. You can't really get that from alone from social media.
And on a Saturday night or Sunday night, there was time for basketball, football, netball. But you find people socializing with their phones now. They're in a group, but they're talking to each other or one another via their telephone. And sometimes it loses, we are in touch, staying in touch, but out of personal touch.
How do you human touch? Human touch. Because it's really, they're more communicating, but they're really not socializing in the true sense per se. There's something that's missing from the digital communication that cannot be replaced with respect to when it is we talk face to face.
How important it is for us to have this personal touch?
I think it's very important. It really conveys meaning in terms of what it is we're trying to communicate, our intonations, our inflections, everything like that. It gives the other person a clear sense of exactly what it is we're saying and how it is we're saying it.
Also, in terms of, sorry about that, brother. Continue.
In addition, I think we've seen where young people have lost social skills. They go to a social event and they don't know how to behave, they don't know how to interact with one another. And they kind of act kind of weird, they kind of act strange, because they go out and you see them on their phones. No longer boys are willing to go outside and play with one another.
I tell you.
They stay indoor with the video games or on Facebook. So when they really should rely on these social skills that they should have developed along the way by interacting with one another, they don't have it.
Yeah, in terms of social skills. You know, for instance, a guy's visiting a female's home. You know, you would come to the door, you would knock, introduce yourself, and so forth. But now with the advent of social media, you by the gate and you WhatsApp and you say, outside. You know, you send a text.
Some guy did that to you or something?
No. It's not a personal experience. You know, it's a story shared to me by a friend. So it really kind of takes away the common courtesies.
Right.
You know, that traditionally, you know, males took pride in you know, introducing themselves to the family members and so forth. You kind of hide behind social media. So
Maybe there's time for us to have a no-cell social. You know, so leave
Yeah,
yourself at home. Leave it out of the, you know.
leave it by the door.
Well, something like that.
Leave
Well,
it by the
see,
door.
You can't even leave it home.
Yeah, because your house might get robbed. And then, you know, you can't lose your
Moving
phone.
along
So
now.
it might be safer if you take it with you.
Is there a direct link, Josh, between the advent of social media and, you know, criminal activity?
There's a link, not necessarily direct, and why I say that is what social media has done. It has brought, as I indicated before, it has brought people together. It has brought people from all walks of life, people who have their head on different ways, in the sense that it may have somebody who has tendencies to be a murderer, a terrorist, a pedophile, you know. It has really brought this mass group of people together, and it has given them a forum to reach or to target potential innocent persons, and that is where the link comes in. That is where it now becomes an issue, because you can now either plan, this person can now plan their attack or you know, and that's from the criminal end. But of course from the other end, which is of course the sexual promiscuity, it has really heightened as well, because what persons are now using social media to do is to really reveal themselves because of feeling whatever insecurities it has allowed them to put images of themselves to feel appreciated in a way that they may not have been getting in other ways, and that in itself has allowed persons to prey on these individuals, and I think that is something that's a link I see.
Okay.
A lot of people give out too much information online without even realizing what it is they are doing.
There's too much information, sir.
Well, you find kids these days give out their address and they don't know who they're talking to. So because you're talking online, you're on a digital platform, you don't know who you're actually talking to. So I could be talking to person X and it's not really person X. I think it's person X, and I tend to want to trust person X and it's not person X, and so forth. Because I give out so much information, like where I live, my phone number, too much private information I'm giving out because I don't know who it is I'm talking to. And so it makes it easier and people are more vulnerable to being attacked by giving out too much information online.
And I suspect that when they do that, they may not be aware. Is it that they're not aware of what they're doing, or is it that they do it innocently and they think it's all right?
I think sometimes innocently, because Facebook itself would ask you questions about your location, what are your interests and what are your likes, and you unknowingly to you, you're not aware of how far-reaching this information you're giving Facebook can really go. So, you know, it may not be deliberate, like I want to tell everybody I live in Dabadi. You know, it's just information that they're asking you, and you just happen, you know, it's easy. You fill out a form, you're just thinking, okay, I'm just letting them know where I am. And somebody else is viewing that and actually creating a profile of you to stalk you. You never know. You know, it can really
I take it
be
that
dangerous.
most of you, with the exception of Alicia, have lived in the era of landline only. And Alicia, you don't know of that era where there was only landline.
Again, I'm taking pride in my youth.
Okay, there we
Yes.
go. And of course, in those days, you could have been on the phone only up to a certain time. There was a limited amount of time you were given by your parents to be online. Now you have your private cell phone. How private should a cell phone be? And to whom? And I'm speaking specifically about teenagers or children into teenage life. How private should it be? Because they have their private phone now.
I don't think it should be private at all, really and truly. I think once it's given by the parents should be able to have access to the cell phones. Be able to see who they're texting, who they...
But they could erase it, brother.
They can erase it, yes. I mean, it will be difficult. But however, a spot check maybe. You may not be able to catch them all, as the case might be, but you should have free access to their phone to see what's happening. Also, there's the use of technology to do it as well too. There are ways and means, apps. A lot of us have smartphones, and there are ways and means of installing apps that would actually double and mirror the text that your child is getting to your phone as well too, so that you can actually see the technology exists.
That's interesting. But the real question I'm asking though is there a direct link between that private cell phone and the upsurge of promiscuity, sexual promiscuity?
Of course.
Yeah, sending images, selfies, and sending it to a friend. You know, WhatsApping them an image of you probably changing your clothes, or a video of you bathing, God forbid. You know, I mean, people get really comfortable, you know, doing. It's different. It's different if you go to a porn studio or something and there are cameras in front of you, and you know, but you become your own videographer, and you're comfortable because you're videotaping yourself. So you know, that's why it makes it easier for you to you know, propagate this thing online, because you're doing it yourself. There's nobody else watching you, but you're actually putting it out there for millions to see.
Of course, it has become an issue in schools, as we know that children are going to schools with camera phones, and it has become an issue where these videos have been leaked to the internet, and you see the promiscuity that happens. So I think the duty, and there's a technology is here to stay. This era, what is happening is here to stay. I think it's critical for parents to become very aware of what is happening with respect to that, and to find ways to not just monitor is one, but I think dialogue and creating that dialogue with your child is very critical and crucial to understand what they're faced with, because you know else a lot could be happening behind the scenes that you're not aware of until it blows up.
Renwick, is there such a thing as internet addiction?
Internet addiction. Definitely. Someone could be addicted to the internet.
What are the symptoms? What are some of the symptoms we look for?
Well, basically, they can spend a lot of time indoors, hardly socializing, always online, always texting. And when this happens, one thing you can possibly do is to encourage your child, or create activities for the child outside of the home, around the home, sporting activities. Now, one of the things that we normally do at our house is around lunch or dinner or mealtime, we say no cell phones, or no smart devices. So once we are at the dinner table, it's to put away all devices.
Wow.
And so there are signs, there are the telltale signs that are there to know when someone is addicted to the internet. And you, as a parent, just have to know what sign to look for. But one of the major signs is that child sometimes are isolated. They hardly spend any time doing anything else other than being on the internet. And one of the other things is to have this device, this shared computer in a public space. Where everyone can see what is going on.
What's going on? It's amazing. We have to put institute laws to keep the cell phone away from the table. So as we continue to discuss this all-important subject of social media networking, and I want to ask this question, perhaps. Let me start with Alicia. There are many parents who are inhibited somehow by the use of the computer, the use of all these techno gadgets like iPad and stuff, and so they feel not empowered. Yeah, they're powerless in helping their children. What advice would you give?
Knowledge is power. And I think it's important that they take an active approach to being informed. And there are a lot of forums that I think could take advantage of educating parents. We have, in the school setting, you could have PTA sessions, you know, where the teachers educate the parents on appropriate use of, you know, social media, how they can supervise their children, even at school, you know, what they're allowed to bring to school and so forth. And of course, at church, we're all Christians. Here, we all attend church. I think that's an excellent forum to, you know, inform parents. And then you have children that are there as well, and they can dialogue with their parents. You know, so I think education is important. Use the public forums, whether it's at church, at school, or even in the communities. You know, a lot of those, a lot of the communities now, they have groups where they come together and discuss how to better, you know, the neighborhood and the community and so forth. So you educate through the community and through schools and through church. Excellent forums for that.
So I take it that if I invite you guys to my church, you could sit and help us to understand this whole concept of social media network. Do I hear amen somewhere?
Definitely. We would be there at a moment's notice.
Okay,
yeah.
so you notice that we shall be at Mount Church very soon. Stay tuned.
Forward to it.
Good. At what age should a parent allow their child unsupervised access to the internet? And I deliberately put the word unsupervised.
Unsupervised access to the internet. I don't believe that a parent should allow a child, and we are talking about a child, unsupervised access to the internet.
Right.
I believe a child's access should be monitored. I believe, like I said initially, that whatever device the child is using should be used in a public space.
Right.
In other words, not taking an iPad in the bedroom or a tablet in the bedroom, a computer in the bedroom. It should be used in a public space. Whatever site the child is visiting should be monitored or checked periodically.
And there's a way to do that.
And there's a way to do that. The parent can have their IT person in their church, in their community, in their work, come and install particular software on their computer, monitoring software, so they can see the browsing history and the browsing pattern of their child. Because remember, the child is under your care, under your roof, and you don't want something to blow up and you're not aware of it when you could put things in place to ensure that you are one step ahead of the game.
I want to add to that as well too, because I mean, we're all creative. We can find, I'm sure children can find ways around that. But you know, in tandem with that, we continue talking to them and sensitizing them with respect to the dangers, you know, telling them, listen, these are the consequences if you do this, that, or the other, as the case might be, and build that rapport with them so that they know as well too, so they themselves become responsible posters.
There's only so much you could do within the confines of your home.
That's right.
What happens when they go to a friend's house? What happens when they go to a night cafe? Could they make informed decisions? Could they make responsible decisions? It all depends on the relationship that you've built with them at home, you know, that sense of trustworthiness. You know, to trust them to behave and represent the family in a moral way.
So we don't wait until they're online or on the internet to dialogue with them. We should be talking to them about...
I mean, it's part of the whole parenting process, you know. There really shouldn't be a separation. Let's train our kids in online usage and so forth. I mean, we are training our children. We want them to be respectable, honorable, whether it's online or offline. You know, it goes across the border. So integrated within your regular schedule, you know, talks and training that you would have with your kids.
I actually believe the parents should be ones to create, whether it be email addresses, Facebook accounts. They should be the ones to be guided to create them or know the passwords, and not do it. Let the child know so that there's no sense of I don't trust you. It's not about that. It's about here's what these are the things that exist. I want you to use it. I think it's important, but it needs to be guided and monitored, and you know, just to have that dialogue with the child. And I think it's very important, that dialogue. And Andre stressed it a lot, that you know that dialogue is important, so that the child feels comfortable to share, even if there's a situation that is happening, you know, that or if they see something that came up on the screen and they didn't know where it came from, you know, they could go to their parent and say, hey, mom, dad, I just saw something, you know, at least so that I think it's very crucial, and parents have a crucial role in this whole shift.
But without trying to discriminate against the age group, there are some parents, and I just throwing out an age at random, maybe in the late 50s, who may find that the Facebook and the online thing is far removed from their era. And I'm using the word inhibition because I don't know how to manage this, and I don't know if I can do it. So I prefer to call my IT person to explain to my child. How do you move the parent from that inhibition to accepting responsibility to train the child, as opposed to just palming the child off to an IT specialist?
Just letting them know of the benefits of taking up that responsibility on your own. I mean, just that bridging the generational gap. I mean, just simply as inquiring with your young, you know, inquiring, so how is this, how does this work? So what is WhatsApp? And you start a dialogue. So they're like, oh wow, my parent could relate, You know, I could build a sense of trust. You understand our lingo. You know, we could talk, we could bounce, and so forth. We might be able to line in the same circles, but
Why not?
you know, but
One way is to get
yeah.
buy these devices for your parents, or get your father or your mother to get one so your father get one for your mother, so that they understand the technology as well, so that
Intimidated by the
Exactly.
technology.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Facebook, and I want to get into that discussion. Facebook, has it become a friend or a foe to many of us? I am taking for granted that some of you are on Facebook, whereas some of you may not be on
Yes,
Facebook.
I am not on Facebook.
You're
It
not on
definitely
Facebook?
was a foe.
It was a foe to you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to be a mature, responsible adult and accept responsibility for lack of self-control.
Okay.
And I think,
Round of applause,
yes,
round of
yes, thank
applause.
you. Thank you very much. I definitely cannot restrain myself.
Okay.
You know, I got addicted to browsing through pictures, not illicit pictures, just people's albums, posting comments, and it just really sucked me in, and time would pass by, and I would
in a sense,
procrastinate.
Facebook is not the foe. It's your lack of self-control that became your foe.
Well, it created an environment for my weaknesses to show forth.
Mercy. Andre, you're not on Facebook.
No, I'm not on Facebook. Simple reason, I value my privacy per se. And although on Facebook there are privacy settings and stuff like that you can use, I decided to go the route of Twitter.
Right.
So in terms, it's not as invasive as Facebook per se, but I can still have access to certain open pages on Facebook. Information comes speedily to me as well too. As soon as it's tweeted, I get it.
Do you tweet regularly?
Ever so often, ever so often. And the thing is, nobody's, that to me is fine. Whereas Facebook, I just found it to be a little bit too intrusive.
Okay, okay. Renwick, but you are still on.
Yes, I'm on Facebook, and I use Facebook. I see Facebook as a tool for information gathering. So on a regular basis, I would go on Facebook, perusing Facebook. For me, Facebook keep me in the know.
Okay.
I have families abroad, and having not been for Facebook, I would not have found out certain information.
Right.
And it's all about how you use the tool.
Right.
Now, you can have a jackhammer. A jackhammer is a tool.
Right.
And you can use it incorrectly.
That's right.
And it can endanger somebody's life.
Right.
If you use Facebook incorrectly, or if you use Facebook in a way it wasn't meant to use, you get addicted to Facebook. You spend a lot of time wasting time on Facebook. It can become counterproductive.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Josh? You on Facebook?
yes, I'm on
Okay,
Facebook.
tell us
Friend.
why. You are a friend.
Yeah, I mean, it has its downsides, yes, but more a friend because I've been able to use Facebook to advertise events, to network with people that I haven't seen for years. I have a music group. I've been able to create groups to be able to share music, to collaborate, to talk, share documents, you know, to this select group alone, you know. So I mean, with my job as well, I have members who form part of my Facebook as well. Now, people use sometimes Facebook to only have people that they know directly and very close to.
Right.
I don't use it for that because of but what I'm aware of is what I'm very conscious of what I put or the things that I say, because I think it's something that if it is you have a audience there, a captive audience, you have to be very careful. You have to be very conscious of that.
What's the downside? I mean, we have already heard admission and confession from Alicia.
Right.
And her addiction and stuff like that. And then intrusion into your
Yes,
space. What other downside?
Some of the downsides of Facebook is oversharing. I think people use Facebook to share too much of information, to vent who they hate, who they broke up with, who's hurt them, you know, and they vent on Facebook a lot. That's one of the downsides. Another downside I would say is Facebook has caused a lot of jealousy as well.
Wow.
And there was a story in the Express a couple of years ago, I don't know if you all remember, where it was Facebook murder, where a 25-year-old guy seeing a photo of his ex-girlfriend with somebody she met in England, went to England and
mercy.
stabbed her 20-something
Oh, my
times
Lord, have mercy.
as a result of jealousy. And it started from a photo that he saw on Facebook that brought out all his rage. So it has created, that is the downside of it.
Okay,
These are the realities of it, you know, and other stories like that, murders.
Right.
You know, so we have to be very conscious of that, you know, as some of the issues that have come out of it.
Renwick, is it true that whatever is posted on Facebook is never deleted or can never be deleted?
That's a very interesting question. I've pondered on that myself. And I think I've tested it before, where I created some years ago, I created a Facebook account and I tried to delete stuff, and I realized I couldn't remove it. And what we also need to realize is that because Facebook is a US company, and we know how the US monitors a lot of information.
Right.
And so once you put something out there, it's not that it can't be removed, but you may not be able to remove it.
Okay.
And that's why people need to be careful about what they put out there.
Right.
Because whatever you put out there can come back to haunt you.
I tell you.
If you check carefully, a lot of companies, before hiring individuals, go online and check people's Facebook profile.
Colleges.
Yes.
You're looking to apply to a college, they check to see.
So
your
what you
activity.
have on Facebook could say a lot about you, and based on that, can determine whether or not you get a job.
Well, we have a few seconds and we want to end on a positive note. How can Facebook, Viber, WhatsApp, whatever social media network we may choose to use, or media may choose to use, how can it be used for the honor and glory of God? How can it be used as a
I can say for the last 3 or more years,
Right.
we have been using Facebook to promote any evangelistic meetings that we're having.
Right.
And even to the point of actually streaming through Facebook.
Right. Okay. That's it?
Yes, well, there are many ways. You can share very positive messages, passages of scripture, and it works because sometimes you do that and it touches a chord with somebody who sees it and it's like, you know, I really needed to see that message,
Right.
you know, because I was having a rough day, you know. So I think music, songs, inspirational music, you could put that and tell somebody have a good day. You could send it directly, put it on your wall, if to the hope the audience knows what that means. But you can put it on your Facebook wall, and everybody sees that, and you know, very encouraged by that song, you know. So it could be
Well,
used.
I want to thank you, gentlemen and lady, for taking the time to post
you
your
for having
presence on this program here this morning and today, and we have benefited, I'm
I
sure.
like your comment.
You like my comment?
I like it.
And we hope that you were blessed today by this presentation. It's just the tip of the iceberg, but I'm sure it would have inspired you to not just try to stay in touch, but have the personal touch. Remember, Christ was himself touched with the feelings of our infirmities. Don't just try to stay in touch. Try to stay in personal touch with Jesus Christ. Looking forward to having you again on JC 24/7.